had podcasts on the brain a lot recently.
There's a cream for that.
And I know I'm not the only one. There are a range of excellent podcasts out there, as well as a lot that make you think, hey, I could do an awful lot better than that. So if you've got podcast fever,
there's a cream for that too.
So if you've got podcast fever, you've come to the right place, because I'm going to tell you how to make your own podcast. Okay, first things first, you're going to need to work out your topic. This is the most important part of your podcast, because you can't just sit down and press record. You need to have an inkling of what you're going to talk about. Why? Because otherwise you might not think of anything to say. Your topic can be anything you want, but it's best to choose something that you know a fair bit about, or something that you're willing to spend a lot of time researching, because otherwise you'll run out of things to say rather quickly. The history of snot, a podcast. Your topic doesn't have to be the same each week, but the majority of the big podcasts have the same general theme every episode. This lets your audience know what they can generally expect from you each time they listen. Once you know what your theme is, you can then work out what to say. This doesn't necessarily mean scripting everything before you start recording, although that does work for a lot of podcasts, like the History of Rome, for example. For others, having a few conversation points or issues noted down really helps if you find yourself running out of steam, because then you can look at them and work out what you're going to say next. Now that you have your theme and you know what you're going to say, how are you going to record? There's no right or wrong way to get started with recording. When you're starting out, there's absolutely nothing wrong with using your computer's built-in microphone if it has one, or using your phone to record if it has the ability. People with access to recording equipment or a high-end budget may choose to record in a sound studio with a big high-end microphone, but that is absolutely not necessary, so don't worry if you haven't got access to something like that. And let's face it, when the majority of your audience is going to be listening on their computers or on the headphones coming out of their phones or MP3 players on their way to work, what recording system you have is going to pale in comparison to what they're listening on, so don't worry about it. As long as people can understand what you're saying, that's perfectly fine, so just use what is available to you. If you're going to have other people record with you, such as co-hosts or guests, then the easiest way to get everyone onto one recording is to record a conversation via Skype. This has two advantages. It means that you don't have to mess around trying to get everyone onto the same recording file, and you don't have the problem of logistics trying to get everyone at the same place to record.
Yeah,
is it on
come
yet?
on, guys, are we on yet? Are we
on? Yes, of course it's recording. Now shut up and start talking.
You know that makes no sense, right?
There are many programs that you can use for recording Skype. Personally, I use Audio Hijack Pro because it's got a low overhead and it records sound pretty well. But whatever you use, make sure that it gets a clean file from Skype. To edit your podcast, just use whatever's available to you. For example, if you've got sound recording software like GarageBand on your Mac, or if you're using Windows and you've got the built-in sound recording software there, you can start with that. That's perfectly fine. If you want to go a little bit more high-end, then programs like Goldwave work really well for recording podcasts. I edited podcasts for years using Goldwave, but if you don't want to spend the money for Goldwave, or you want something that has a bit of a difference to it because you can add in extra tracks, then something like Audacity is pretty good too, but remember that it will crash an awful lot, so be careful and save your work often. So okay, now that you've got your podcast recorded and edited, how do you get it out to your eagerly awaiting public? Well, the easiest way to do this is to get yourself a blog. Something like WordPress or Blogger or something like that. Something that's free because you don't need to spend an awful lot of money on this. And then you upload your files onto there and put it out as a post with a link to the file. Sometimes they'll embed, sometimes it'll just be a link. Either way, that works out fine as well. The advantage of using a blog system like that is that it comes with a built-in RSS reader, which means that you can go to iTunes and get yourself onto their list of podcasts. And that is really useful for finding extra people for your audience. But we're going to cover how to do that because it's a bit more in depth, and we're going to do that in another video, so stay tuned for that. And that really is all that there is to it for this. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you did like it, and if you did, remember to click the like button, share it with your friends so that they can see how to make a podcast too, and do subscribe for future videos because there will be more in the future. But until next time, I've been Kirk-Robinson, you've been watching The Knob Mouse Show, and I'll see you later.